Wow. You did some more stuff on it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Boom! Welcome back to another Not as Debatable. I am your host, Sidney Smith. I am so pumped up. Not really. I'm just trying to fake it for you guys because I'm kind of tired. But we've got a great show lined up for you guys. Our two handsome chocolate faces are back in front of you. Again, I am Sidney Smith. That that dude over there is my brother and co-host, Mr. Dion Curry. Dion, what's good, bro? Talk to
Yo,
the
yo,
people.
yo. What's good? Happy Monday to all our master debaters. It has been a very long 7 days since the last time we spoke. I don't know about you guys, but last week seemed to just take forever. It was a very, very long week, but I'm very happy to be here with you. We got a great show for you guys lined up. I'm not faking the energy. I'm ready to rock and roll because the topic at hand tonight is a pretty good one, I think.
Wait a minute. Wait, how dare you just out me? Like you just, right. Everyone else
Pew
see
pew
what my
pew
brother just did.
pew.
All I did was introduce you with love. All I did, and you betrayed me anyway. Shout out to everybody out there who's watching us on Facebook Live. I see Mary chiming in. Hello, Mary. Shout out to everybody on the podcast out there, Stitcher, iHeart, Apple, Spotify. You know what you're listening. You listen to it to yourself. And thank you to everybody who's been rocking with us on YouTube. We do appreciate it. It has been a delight. Fuck you, Dion. See, Bruce has chimed in with us too. What's good, bro? I'm gonna start asking you guys right now to go ahead and click that share button if you have not already done so. I see we got a few eyeballs popping in on us. We'll give it a little more time. The delay was on me. I was moving a little bit slow, had some different things going on. Tried to grab a quick bite to eat so I could be nice and full before we came onto the show. My stomach wouldn't be growling. So it's on me, not on Dion as it usually is. I said it. I said it. Right.
Yeah, I know
That's
you
the.
said it. I was waiting for you to, go, haha, just kidding. But you never did that.
Sure didn't. Sure didn't.
So I'm gonna put that one in the back pocket and use it for later. So
Dion, fuck
you
you.
started
Fuck you, man. No, you
it.
said. No, you started actually. You started actually. Look, you said you had a good weekend. Tell the folks about it real quick. You were trying
I
to
had
tell
a really,
jokes.
yeah, I had a really good weekend. So Saturday night I had a show in Lafayette, Indiana. It was like a independent promoter type one night type deal, and this is a great, great show. Amber James was the MC, and she's very, very funny. She plays all over, so if you guys ever see her on a bill, you should check her out. Her Instagram is Comedy Bay, so go check her out. Very, 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 very funny woman. Um, I did I did really, really well, and which is funny because I didn't feel like I did really well, but all the reviews and people have told me afterward that they thought I was great. I got a bunch of Instagram followers from that show, and they were like, "You were wonderful," which was really nice to hear because I didn't think that I did as well as they say I did. Which you know, we tend to be hard on ourselves, but it's great to hear that people really enjoyed you. And then fast forward to Sunday, I hosted the final round of Indiana's Funniest 2023 competition, and it was a great show. There were, I think, 9 people in the finals, and 8 of them did really, really well. One of them did not do very well, but I didn't think that person belonged in the finals anyway, and so I wasn't shocked to see that they didn't do well. But it was great. And then another comic, Lucas Waterfield, who has his own special out on Amazon called Public Inconvenience. That if you have Amazon, you should go check out because he's a very, very funny dude and he's handicapped, and it just would really help him out if you wouldn't watched it.
Oh, somehow we just lost them. There we go. He's
Sorry,
back.
so my buddy called me, and he knows I'm doing the fucking show. He's an asshole. Um, Lee, you're an asshole. So yeah, the show was great. Lucas closed out. He got heckled by this guy, and they ended up kicking that guy and his group out. And the women in the group were like, "We're so sorry. we really liked you and Lucas. And I'm like, y'all need to get rid of this guy. And, he had the Proud Boys haircut and just the muscle T-shirt, just your typical douchey type fella. So other than that, it was a really good show. Aisha Brown won the whole thing. She literally had the set of the night. I mean, every joke hit. She killed for 10 minutes. So it was a good weekend. Very long weekend, but good weekend.
How long has Aisha been telling jokes?
She said 13 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So she's got
Yeah.
way more than 10 minutes in the bag that she could throw on the table. Then
Yeah, that was one of the things of this contest. Each round. So the first round was all audience vote, but they had to pick three people. So even if you brought the entire crowd, you weren't guaranteed to move on, right? And
which
then
I
in the
like.
second and the semifinals and in the finals, there were actual judges. So if you didn't do different material, you kind of were docked for that because the judges had seen it the round before. And so a couple of the comics last night did the same jokes, and it was one of those things where yeah, it's a new crowd per se, but you also have judges. So the finals had six judges, where the semifinals only had four. So it was one of those things where you kind of lose points if you do the same jokes, and like I said, some of the people did, and so they lost points. But overall, I think Aisha won hands down. Like I don't know if she repeated jokes because I only saw half of her set in the first round, and but everybody else that was on that show, I had seen them repeat at least one joke. So it was one of those things where when I won it, I didn't repeat any of the jokes in my three rounds. And a lot of the comics were asking me, "Hey, you won this. What should I do?" And I was like, "Just be funny. Just be funny." And it really shocked me to see that most of the people in the finals didn't switch it up, which was kind of disconcerting, because you should have more than 15 minutes if you're competing in a contest.
Well, you and I have obviously different thoughts on comedy contests. I myself have never gotten into one. I shouldn't say that. When I was probably, I don't know, less than 6 months then, I was doing strictly crowd work at this point, 3, 4 months. I did my first and only contest, made it through. Show you how much I cared about the contest. I think I made it to the semis or something, but I had a trip coming up to go home, and I say, look, put somebody else in there. I'm going home. So that's kind of where I was with that contest and with comedy. But since then, I haven't done one. I've judged a ton of them. I've been out to support friends of them. I'm not a fan of them, and I'm not a fan normally of anyone who has a ton under your belt, especially if you're going to get to a contest to do it with a bunch of newbies or up and comers. There's no victory in it for you if you lose this fucking thing, in my mind.
As someone who's lost to quote unquote newbies in a contest, I completely agree with you that if you're a veteran, you probably shouldn't be in a pro am contest. But at the same time, if it's easy money, go ahead, take it. I don't care because fuck them. You get bumped from shows all the time when you're an amateur by professionals. So it shit happens. Get your get backs where you can get them back.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
I can count several instances where I was scheduled to do a show and then someone more seasoned than me was like, but you're not. And so I did it. And, now that I'm at that spot, it's just something that you have to do. I said I wouldn't do it, but it's like sometimes it's necessary for the quality of the show, where you're like, you're not getting up.
No, no, no. I have no problem. If you want to jump in and take money because it's easy money, that's great. For me, that doesn't outweigh the potential of losing, especially if you're thought of us in a certain way in your scene, to be like, oh, to have some newbie win because he or she, his mother brought everybody from the church, that type of thing. There's absolutely no way would I put myself through something and allow that to happen and expect that I would not murder everyone in the room. I can't make any promises, so I'm not going to put myself in that position.
I mean, if you lose because of church ladies, that's your blessing.
That's your blessing. All right, y'all. We got a good show. David Greaves is with us. Evening, sir. We got a good show, we believe, lined up for you guys. We we were trying to figure out what we're going to do the show on because Dion said it earlier in our conversation earlier this afternoon. This is kind of a slow news cycle this weekend. So we were looking, we were talking about it and figuring it out. And lo and behold, the podcast gods gave us a what we believe to be a great topic. Dion, could you go ahead and let the people know about our first topic? And while Dion does
So,
that, don't forget to click that share button, folks.
so a lot of you guys have seen the movie, heard the movie of The Blind Side, the Michael Orr story. Michael Orr was a right tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. This story depicts him as being a downtrodden, not well off young black man who's
Slow
just
reader.
struggling in life, who needs who needs the great white hope to come in and rescue him from the dredges of his blackness and give him the future that they know he has inside him. All he needed was a big ass couch to sleep on, right? Um, Great movie by most people. Now, Michael Orr hated this fucking movie because he said it was very unrealistic. And we all know how Hollywood is. When you take a true story, they don't ever go verbatim, how things happen. And I'll give you a perfect example. Did you ever watch the movie Green Book?
I have seen it. Yes, did not like it.
Okay. Okay. So the Green Book is an actual book that was created for black people to help them navigate racist places in the country. It was for black artists and musicians and entertainers and people who were just traveling throughout the country to gig to gig. Hey, this area is safe, this area is not. And they make the movie, and um, Mahershala Ali's character is this famous musician.
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. I know you want to give more detail, but let's give you a pause break for getting that first name correct. Good job. Good job. You chop up so many names on this show, so good job, sir.
I chop up somebody. Start calling you Sydney projections over here. But it's one of those things where back in that time, the Green Book, the movie is not an accurate portrayal of the times and how racist and negative and vile that those situations actually were. It's a very watered down version of history, which, you look at Florida, that's what they've been trying to do for years. So we're talking about The Blind Side, and come to find out, Michael Orr didn't get paid for this movie.
Hold on one second. I do want to interrupt you again, seriously. Not only was The Green Book, in my opinion, a bad movie because I did not like the way they portrayed Militia's character. He was almost so passive, so weak. Again, going back to what we're going to touch on for this movie, that just needing the great white hope. I also did not care for the fact that he didn't get much consideration for awards either. Those went more to his co-host. I can't think of his name right now, but I
Okay,
didn't.
I know I can see his face, and I can't think of his name,
Yeah, but I
but
didn't
I'm
care
about
for
to look it up.
that. I didn't care for that either. In fact, the movie was more about Mahershala's character, but for some reason they took and they ran with it in another direction, and that really bothered me. But I wanted to say that. I'll let you go ahead.
I'm googling to find out the guy's
I'll read some comments while you're doing that. Green Book.
Vigo Mortensen.
There's Vigo, that's right. And I like Vigo Mortensen. I think he's a good actor. Pops Jerry Johnson says Green Book. Mahershala is my cat. Pops, thanks for joining us. It's been a while. Bruce says, I read some of the articles about this topic. I'm assuming he's talking about the Michael Orr. And it's a good topic. Can't wait for all the truth to come out. Pops also says Michael Orr, good topic. He also says, good evening, gentlemen. I'm not a fan of contests either. I've seen the House comic in Texas win. I've seen a comic and his lady fill out ballots. So, so. Ellie Ray says, I love your honesty and knowing yourself. LOL. Love it. Thank you. And our new fave, Aaliyah Craig, is what it says. Yo, yo. So, Aaliyah, Ellie, Pops, and Bruce, thanks for being here. All right, sir. I'll
Yeah,
let you get back to it.
if you guys are watching, feel free to just give us a hey, shout out in the comments. Just let us know you're here. We don't always see everybody's name who pops up. I
Absolutely.
see Dana's in here with us, Michelle's in here with us, Ricky's in here with us. What's up,
Hello.
Ricky?
Hello. Hello.
So yeah, I mean, I remember going to see The Blind Side in the movie theater. I went with Michelle, and we watched it, and I thought it was a good movie. because again, I didn't know Michael Orr's story, but after the movie came out and a couple years later, you kind of hear whisperings and rumblings about how he was like, yeah, this is not anyway how it went down in real life. It was very Hollywooded up. And part of me understands why Hollywood would do that because, it's a football movie, point blank, period. There's no getting around that. The movie's based around um, football, but then it sprinkles in, um, emotion. And Remember the Titans is a football movie, but it's so much more than a football movie in the regards of the content of what's going on in the era. It's based on a true story, undefeated football team that tears down racism in the town and brings the whole community together, but it's done in a way that um, is more. It resembles the truth more than what The Blind Side did. What The Blind Side did was they made Michael Oher look stupid, and at the end of the day, he's not a dumb guy. He knew about football. I mean, they basically rewrote his character as to someone who doesn't know anything about football. He's just a big brutish oaf who's dumb, and who this family comes in and saves him, and now he owes all his success to them, and that's just not what happened. And so I was reading an article where the family that quote unquote adopted him, because they didn't actually adopt him, um, they negotiated the contract and they got paid $220,000 plus 2.5% of whatever the movie made, and Michael Orr didn't get a dime of
I think, and it was, excuse me, sometime after, right before he got any bit of his money from the movie, correct?
that.
Am I right?
I didn't see where he got anything. So
Okay.
if he,
Well, let me say, I want to say this. A couple of things when it came to the movie. Yeah, Michael Orr came out pretty much right away after the movie came out and said he did not care for it. He didn't like the way he was portrayed in the movie. And you're right, Dion. They made it look like they pulled this young man off the street, put a football in his hand, and just all of a sudden he was able to do things. And then the whole scene where Sandra Bullock's character comes out and gives the whole speech to him, protect your quarterback like he's me, and all these different things. It seemed a little far fetched to begin with, but you can see how far they really went out to fetch that stick when it comes out and Michael Orr says a lot of this shit didn't even happen.
yeah, I mean, they play up the whole family. There's a scene where he's being questioned by the NCAA, trying to figure out why he went to Ole Miss, and he goes, "Well, because my family went there." And come to find out, well, they didn't actually adopt him. So that whole part, I wonder if that actually even happened. And it's just one of those, movie magic tricks that helps sell a movie and helps get you in your feels, instead of dealing with reality. And I get it. People want to escape. Not everybody can't view Raw all the time.
But not as a detriment to someone, and not to like if this is going to be his life story, then he needs to be put on a higher platform. His character should have been. I mean, if there was some real strife that he had, fine, let's go through that. But we don't need to denigrate Michael Orr and his life to make to what it seems like to me and him to many other people to elevate this family.
But you know why that was done.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, again, when it comes to holding people accountable, we can retroactively after the fact go, yeah, that somebody should have been like, oh, we can do a better job than this. But lightning follows the path of least resistance, and everybody who was making decisions on how to portray him and versus making the family look great. I mean, obviously they were the ones who negotiated the deal, so obviously they're going to be the ones who come out trying to smell like roses, even if that's not necessarily the truth.
Well, I'll tell you one place where it should have been true. Now I seen the movie as well. The movie was okay. I'm a huge Sandra Bullock fan, and that's why I watched the movie. So let me just be upfront and honest about that. She's never, the only time I think she might have looked better was in Demolition Man when I first found her and fell in love. But the scene, if there was no other scene in this movie to tell you
You
what,
just made me have a flashback, Sandra Bullock and Demolition Man.
hey man, if there was no other movie, I'm sorry, if there's no other scene in the movie to let you know they're making shit up, It was the fact that these white parents let this big black dude live in their house with their pretty young white daughter. That ain't happening. that, I challenge you to find a white family with an attractive white
That's where your
daughter.
mind went. That's how you knew it was
That's
spoofed.
not where my mind went. I'm trying to tell you, I saw some of the fake shit right away. That ain't happening. I challenge you to find a well to do white family with an attractive young white daughter, and they're going to bring in some big black dude and no hands, bro, here, the couch is
I
yours.
think that
You
was.
get free run of the house.
I think
Not
that
in your
was
life.
another Hollywood trick because the
Absolutely.
real the real Leah and Tuli is not attractive. She looks nothing like Sandra Bullock, and I I'm pretty sure her daughter is. I don't think they had to worry about that
She
at
better be.
all.
I'm assuming she was mediocre in real life because there's no way. And in fact, I'm gonna say this: any young man out there, I don't care how bad he got it going. If you say, "Come on in here with all these white folks and sleep on the couch," it smells like a setup. I'll be on the porch. I challenge you to find it. Challenge you.
It's one of those things where you watch the movie. Like everybody wants a feel good story, right? But at the end of the day, I would much rather have the truth. What about you? Like for me, I would much rather have the truth than to be, have the proverbial hood pulled over my eyes and not see. Oh no, just give them the good feel good story. I would much rather find out that
If you can't make a closer to reality movie based off this young man's life, don't make the movie. Or just don't say it was Michael Orr. Give him some fictional name. This could have been anybody. You could have right. If it's gonna be fiction, let it be fiction. What's the purpose of it? I'm sure this young man went through enough. I'm sure they pulled little pieces from here and there to create what his life might have been. But it was. I mean, they had this guy looking bad. And you're right. When you first see it, you think, "Man, this kid, can he read? Can he?" You know, just just as she. And then you got this woman pulling up, and they pull you into the movie. You actually start to believe that a white woman will just drive up and tell you to get your big black ass in my car.
yeah,
Come on, let's go.
he's literally walking home in the rain, like like fucking Winnie the Pooh, fucking or Eeyore. Oh,
Oh,
wish I
oh,
had a
poo.
family. It's like she's like, oh my guilty conscience can't let
And
this
in the
little poor
South,
nigger boy. It's like,
in the
come on,
South,
yeah.
anywhere in this country, you hard pressed as a black man to walk through the parking lot and a white woman ain't trying to lock the car doors. And you want me to believe this white woman pulled up and got this humongous black guy and said, "Hey, come on, get your ass in the car." If anything, they might have saw that they could send him to Ole Miss because that's where they went to school. Because I heard that was a thing as well, that they were trying to help recruit and get this boy to go play for them, go play for their alma mater.
I mean, but if you watch the movie, he didn't know jack shit about football. So it's like like that when you start to do the math, the movie kind of falls apart. When reality shows up. The little boy and him protecting him with his arm in a car accident when he got a brand new truck. I'm like, yeah, I ain't known this nigga long enough to be buying him no brand new truck, let alone let your little ass son ride in the front seat. Like none of that made any sense to me.
All right. Let me go to some comments before I say something. Jerry Pop says Michael Orr got blindsided. ATAB. Ain't that a bitch? So he also says oh no, I'm sorry. Dave says he got into a fight because of a rigged contest. See, there is why I don't do them. Pop says Dennis Rodman had a similar life story as Michael Orr. Yes, and no one has done the Dennis Rodman movie yet at Disney or 20th Century Fox. I wonder what they're waiting on.
Let me tell you, the ratings board won't let that movie go. That
They don't
movie's
have
gonna
enough
be rated
X's.
NR-17.
Aaliyah says she taught him how to block. Come on now. Right, Aaliyah, our point exactly. This little white woman came off the just stop practice. Now, if anybody out there has played sports or ran track or just any sport at all, especially football, basketball, anything where all that testosterone is running, you know, ain't no woman coming out the stands and shutting down practice, and nobody's listening to that. She might get blindsided.
Not looking like that. Yeah, maybe a stud will be able to pull it off.
You say my
They-
folks random shit.
I'm just
Pop,
saying.
Pop says August. If you're okay, he's talking to August. Michelle Martin says so many movies like The Blind Side, the white people look like knights in shining armor, and so many stereotypes are reinforced. I did relate to Sandra Bullock not being able to wear orange because it isn't her color wheel. That is one of my favorite things, Michelle, because I'm able, like a lot of black people, to wear almost any color. And if it ain't white people commenting on how well you speak or how curly your hair is, it is always, man, you look just good. Good. I can never pull that off. so, so
You're,
I give you credit, Michelle, for knowing the weakness in your pigmentation. What you got, Dia?
Aaliyah says, honestly, the saddest part of this is that he signed away the rights to his life story.
How did he sign anything away? Did they have?
Let me see if I can.
Ali, do you know offhand how he signed it away, or if he actually did? Because I didn't read that part.
They negotiated a deal with the Tuohys negotiated a deal with 20th Century Fox that left Ora without any payment for the rights to his name, likeness, and life story, while the Toohey family received a contract price of 225,000 in addition to 2.5% of the film's net proceeds.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
that goes right back to so Dion, with that, that makes me think even more that whatever they did for him was to try to get him pushed, and with success, they succeeded to get him to go play for Ole Miss, their alma mater.
I
Because it
mean,
sounds like they just wanted to take advantage of him from the very get go.
so, according to Good Morning America, Michael Orr discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Toohey family, in fact, provided him with no familial relationship with the Tooheys.
Oh,
So,
you know what this also sounds like now? Now you correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me what you think. How dare you, Marcus, say your shirt is trash? Damn you, man. so it sounds like he still, even after all these years, wanted to be a member of that family after the way he felt like he still was, the way he says he's portrayed in that movie. Like he still has some type of familial attachment to them up
I
until
mean,
recent.
I'm sure, them quote unquote saving him out of his situationship, being with them was probably a lot better than what he had before. So I'm sure there is some type of, not reverence, but some type of love and appreciation for the fact that they did help him, make it to the next level. But at the same time, that movie didn't do him any favors when it comes to, what how he's portrayed to people who don't know him. Like if you never heard of him and you go watch this movie, you would think he's some big dumb lummox who got saved by these people. Come to find out that that wasn't necessarily the case, and they haven't done anything to dispel it because they made a nice lump sum from that movie. I mean, they got $225,000 for the rights plus 2.5% of the net proceeds. Well, the budget of the movie was 29 million, and it grossed over 309 million at the box office. So, they made millions of dollars off of it. He doesn't get any of that.
And it's not like they were a family that was destitute themselves. You know, they were
Right.
business owners. They were very and I'm going based off the movie. Seems like they were very influential within their circle of friends, within their community. So it's not like one of them. The husband was off working as a butler somewhere, and she was over washing dishes at somebody's house, and they were just lucky to get by when they brought this young man in and helped him along. Doesn't it doesn't
Accord-
even make sense other than this, here's another opportunity to take advantage of someone. Go ahead.
According to the Daily Mail, they have a net worth of 75 million. So
So what's another
there
couple
you go.
million? What's another couple
Yeah.
million?
So there you go. It's one of those things that he did well in football. He made over $20 million through his football contracts. So I mean, he's not some poor, destitute kid, or people don't need to feel sorry for him in that regard. But at the same time, this is your life story, and these were supposed to be people who are looking out for you, who call you family. It doesn't sound very family like to cut him out of the familial relationship.
Sounds like they got what they wanted from him. Pop says, "Damn, son, Bullock, movie daughter, and Mandingo. Remember Bokeem Woodbine in life."
Oh my gosh.
I just
Give
say
me
it.
my baby back.
I'm that
Give me
boy's
my
Pepe.
baby back.
I'm that boy's Pepe. If that white woman was Sandra Bullock, it would flow. I'm with you, Jonas. I'm with you. David said, "Daughter is not attractive. She looks like her mama." Yes, that's all bad. That's all bad. All right. Let me scroll through here. Yeah, Marcus. Jonas says, "Sandra Bullock plus shitty Southern accent equals box office bullshit for real." How dare you, Jonas? We would not have any blasphemous talk when it comes to the Sandra Bullock, sir.
I mean, I'm a fan of Sandra Bullock. Speed was the movie that did it for me. The very first one. I didn't even bother with the second one, but her and Keanu Reeves was, they did the movie Lake House, which I really enjoyed. If you like that romantic.
I'm gonna cut your sound off.
Shit.
You
The
said
Lake
some
House
shit
was
like the
great.
Lake House.
You didn't like Lake House?
How? I'd have cut your sound off.
Dude, it's got Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. What is not to
First,
like about this
first
movie?
of all, the only good movies Keanu has ever made off the top of my dome is Speed 1. That's Cassandra was in it. And then John Wick 1 and 2. All right?
You don't like The Matrix?
How, you could have made it without him.
Oh, stop. Okay, you just lost all credibility. So I'm just going to disregard everything you're going to
What are
say.
you talking about? Someone else couldn't play that role?
Dude, he made that movie iconic.
He made it iconic, or did the great
Yes.
cast around him, including Lawrence Fishburne?
Who's the fucking main character?
I. It sounds like Furious needs to take you out to a corner and have a real long
Let me
talk
tell you
with you.
something. There's a reason why Furious wasn't in the fucking revival of the shitty movie
Oh,
20 some odd years later.
because if he was smart enough to pass and say, "I know everybody gonna fall asleep and not finish
No,
this."
well, that and the fact that he didn't look like Morpheus anymore. He had morphed into something else. So, no.
Yeah,
Look,
Matrix is a good movie, but you're not gonna tell me that no one else. Keanu Reeves essentially uses the same voice, same accent for every fucking character.
how can you say
Please,
how can you
please.
say they could make the Matrix with anybody else and then not say the exact same thing for John Wick? Like it's like you could have used anybody.
Because Keanu
John
doesn't
Wick is
talk that much in John Wick. That's the
okay.
only reason I can get through them.
Oh my god,
Jesus.
ridiculous!
No, you're ridiculous. How do you act like
You,
Keanu
you
Reeves
said
is
the only movies worth watching are John Wick and Speed. Yeah, you don't even like John Wick because what?
no, 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 no. I said the only Keanu Reeves. Did I say that was the only movies worth watching because Keanu was in it? I did not. I did not. I like the movies because he does
That is what you
very
said.
little talking.
Oh my god, get out of here!
Get
Lake
out of
House was
here.
great.
Say
Lake
again.
House was great. The
Lake
Lake House
House
was great.
sucks.
The Lake House was great.
Bruce, are you agreeing with this good movie, Dion? 2 thumbs up with the Lake House. Of course you are. Is your wife sitting next to you again watching the show? You kissing butt again this week, sir?
How can you
Every
not like the Lake House, man?
every
It's a
week you
beautiful
say
movie.
something. I got to take you to task for. God,
It's
who knew it was
it's
going to
up
be
there.
this?
It's up there where you got mail.
Now you,
I
now
love
you
that movie.
try, now you try to get a vein to pop out the side of my
Yeah,
neck.
You've Got Mail was phenomenal. Tom
It
Hanks,
was
Meg Ryan,
decent.
Dave
It was
Chappelle.
decent.
It was
Decent.
phenomenal.
Only because Dave Chappelle was in it
He was
is
in it.
phenomenal.
It's pretty funny.
Let's see. Cedric DS says Sis needs to go back to White Claw. Oh, Sid needs to go back to White Claw. That Black Claw got him going crazy. Keanu made the Matrix. Come on, man.
He
Shannon Sharp
did.
voice. Cedric, since you're using your Shannon Sharp voice, would you go find your little toy dog and walk through the airport with it tucked under your arm? Would you do that for me? Carla says, I love Keanu. Carla, well, that's from your generation. You should. You go all the way back with Bill and Ted and all that kind of stuff from your generation.
I'm blown away that you're not a fan. I
I'm
really am.
not a fan of Keanu Reeves, man. Not a fan.
He's a wonderful human being, and he makes
What does
great
that have to? I didn't say
cinematic.
he's an asshole. I say he owe me 20. Who cares? He's a wonderful human
Well, if he
being.
did owe you $20, he would pay you back with interest because
Probably
that's what
not.
he
He would
gets.
say, he would probably say, you don't really need the money, do you? I'm such a nice guy. Let me get away with
No,
it.
please. He gave away all the money he made from the Matrix movies, and which was a lot of money.
Oh, we guess we won't be him handling my wealth down the road. Just giving money away from the Matrix movies. That's another
You
reason for me
sir,
not to like him.
you sir are no Keanu Reeves. Let me tell you.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. All right. I don't dislike him as a human being. I just don't think he's that great of an actor. But you know, it's whatever. Who knew? Who was he? Bill or Ted? Which one was he?
I don't remember those
Okay.
movies.
Okay.
They were knockoff Wayne's World to me.
All right. Malay's with us. She says, "Hey y'all, what's up?
What's up,
What's up?
Malay?
How are you? How are you?" Carla says, "Hello guys. Thank you for joining us, Carla." All right, man. Look,
I see Roxy's in here. What's up, Roxy?
oh, she ain't saying nothing. Jack,
Nope.
Pop says, "I know how to get you gents back in focus. I'm a black man who doesn't eat mac and cheese." Now back to our story. He says, "Focus." Pops, I know you don't eat mac and cheese. You've been in my house, and the first time you said it, I had to look at you. If you weren't my pops, I probably had some language for you.
Yeah, you the only nigga I know who don't eat mac and cheese.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't call Pops the N word, man. Show some respect. You'll be out here in September. He a short drive away.
Oh, you threatening him? You threatening me for him?
Yes. So,
Pops, Pops, you need to have my grandmama's mac and cheese. Liz. She'll
he's
have the best
not,
mac
he
and
ain't gonna
cheese.
eat it. He ain't gonna eat it. But he gonna come over and put that
The black man strength on me.
elder statesman strength on you, man. said says next you're going to say Johnny Depp didn't make Pirates of the. Oh my God.
I only watched the first one. I haven't. I don't remember any of the ones after that.
All right. Pops wants us to focus. He's right. We should focus. Back to the shitty movie, or on to the next.
I'm just saying. I'm not going to let you disparage my man Keanu. Lake House is a great movie. That's the bottom line.
Nah. I will say, when it comes going back to our original topic, I think we can all agree Sandra Bullock looked great in those pants.
Oh, most definitely. Yes, of course. It's no question about it. Bert, round the damn ball.
What I am amazed by though, to a certain extent, is that there still is a lot of black dollars that are spent in entertainment, movie specifically, that to almost ignore that community at times, or to steal the stories from people in that community to uplift the characters of a different race. I'm still baffled by that at times though.
Well, I mean, you can look at the story of the Jeffersons, right? The TV show The Jeffersons, where it's alleged that Norman Lear stole that from a black guy and didn't give him any of the credit. And so it's one of those things where this
Say
type
that
of
again.
shit.
Say that again. What happened? I don't think I heard this one.
So it's alleged. There's Norman Lear created the Jeffersons, but there was a black guy that he worked with that basically created the Jeffersons, and then just Norman Lear took the idea and ran with it. And this black guy has been fighting for years to get his credit for it, to this day. And so this happens a lot where black people create something and then white people come in and take it and use it how they see fit. This story is another perfect example of how they found a kid with talent, uplifted him to a certain level, and then exploited him for their own benefit. Granted, they didn't really need the money. I mean, if they're worth $75 million, what's another $5 million from this movie? Um, but at the same time, Michelle kind of hit on it, was this reinforcing of the stereotypes that black people always need to be saved by their white knights, when in reality it's just that, if the roadblocks that are put in front of us in the beginning were torn down, we'd be just fine and capable of handling all of our issues ourselves.
You make a great point, because I do think there is a a through line of racism through a lot of these different things when you look at it in Hollywood. And there's always this constant want and need and to portray that we are always less than and that we always need saving. The other thing I would say as well, and you touched on it, not only do we have to be saved, but all of a sudden, because we feel so indebted to you, now we're here to protect your kids. When you talk about how he protected the son in the car crash, laying his life on the line, or if you will, to make sure that this young Caucasian boy is not harmed. Just these tropes just keep being played over and over and over and over again in so many different ways in so many different facets of art.
Well, it's one of the things. I mean, the Oscars are a perfect example of, how many amazing movies did Denzel make before he won an Oscar for
For
Training
Training
Day,
Day, I said that same thing.
for literally being the worst kind of human there is. I mean, then you take a look at Halle Berry. She has to have sex with the racist and monsters ball to get her Oscar. It's there's a pattern of behavior that it is plain as day if you're willing to look at it. But a lot of people don't want to have that conversation, or they just choose to ignore it, to where it's like, it's subtle if you're not paying attention. But if you are paying attention, it screams at you every chance you get. It's one of those things where, when we were talking about Angela Bassett a few episodes ago, how they're trying to give her an honorary actor. You can't tell me she all the work she's done, she doesn't deserve an Oscar. I mean, from Stella Got Her Groove Back to playing Katherine Jackson in the Michael Jackson movie, the Jackson 5 movie, uh,
She's got so many
what
great ones.
so it's one of those things where I look at a movie like Philadelphia, right? The movie Philadelphia with
Outstanding, one of my favorites.
Tom Hanks and Denzel, Antonio Banderas, and it's like that movie. You can't tell me neither one of those actors didn't deserve an Oscar for how great they were in that movie together. It was a phenomenal film. Yet, you know, look, I'm not hating on Meryl Streep, but you can't tell me she's levels above Angela Bassett. Okay, you just can't tell me that. I don't see it.
Well, I think the one when you think about Meryl Streep, when you bring her name, the one that they talk about now, and a lot of it because she stole a scene from Meryl, is Viola Davis.
Yeah.
And that's the one. If you're talking about a black actress who they elevate, and rightfully so. And again, when you talk about Meryl, you got to talk about Viola, because when you go back and you look at that movie that they did together, I should say the movie, the one scene that I believe they had together in that movie. Uh, what was the damn movie? Viola Davis or had Phyllis Seymour Hoffman in it. He played the priest that was suspected. Meryl Streep plays a nun. She suspected him of molesting a little boy, one of his students, a little black boy, and Viola Davis was the mom. And that scene they had, damn, I wish I could remember. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, that is more who you're going to put into that in that same lane with Meryl Streep, at least as of 2023, is going to be Viola Davis and her
The
stealing
movie
that.
was Doubt.
Yes, it Doubt, very good movie. And a lot of that again is the way she stole that scene from Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's one of the greatest actresses ever. She's a great actress. You can't take anything from her. I would put Viola even above Angela Bassett if we're talking about Meryl Streep.
Well, I mean, Viola's kind of exploded on the scene, and don't get me wrong, Viola is very talented, but I wouldn't put her levels above Angela Bassett. Again, a lot of this boils down to who's seen what and who was it made for. Like a lot of these movies, a lot of black movies don't get nearly as much viewership as they should, simply based off the fact that it's just all black cast. Is a black director, and quote unquote mainstream, which we all know just to mean white America, has no investment to go see, to take that chance to go and watch something but doesn't necessarily involve them. Yet it it could still be a great movie. Black Panther was fun for everybody. It just happened to be very few white people in it. It was still a good movie. You know, it would be no different than watching the Captain America movie where almost everybody's white. So it's one of those things where you know you you can you can be great on your own in either lane, but when you compare the two, the gap shouldn't be like it just there should not be a huge gap between Meryl Streep and Viola Davis or Angela Bassett, Octavia Spencer, all these other phenomenal black
Another great one.
actresses
Yeah.
who if you put their resumes up to, you can't tell me that Meryl Streep is that much better than them. You just can't.
Will, who are you talking about? She's awesome. You love her. Who are you talking about there? Let me know who you're speaking about. Marlon Wayans, I listened to him do an interview. I forget if it was on the Breakfast Club or maybe it was somewhere else. And Aaliyah, I agree with you. She says she just wants Hollywood to tell the truth. Facts can be just as entertaining as lies, but certain people in high places don't want to look bad to the mainstream. And I agree with Aaliyah on that point there. Marlon, and to your point, Dion, Marlon Wayans was being interviewed, and he talked about how the scripts are kind of laid out and how they're put out there, who gets what and whatnot. And something that I did not know until I heard him say it was, you think a lot of black actors make terrible movies, and while some of them are bad, they're making them because this is what's in front of them. When a script goes out, if it's a good script, it rolls through white actors first, and it passes through them. Who doesn't want it passes it on, so on and so forth, those top actors. Once it makes its way through all of them, now it makes its way down the line of black actors. And if it's a bad movie, obviously it's going to get its way all the way to the end of that line as well. And someone's going to pick it up and make it because they got to work. They still have bills to pay. So a lot of that are things that people don't know. Again, I didn't know. And it was very interesting to hear him share that piece so you have a better understanding on why certain actors that you may even like may never get a chance to make a good movie, let alone a solid movie. Now Denzel played it differently, and he's Denzel Washington at this point. But I remember hearing that earlier in his career, at a certain point, he said everything that I believe it was Harrison Ford turns down, somehow, some way, get your hands on it, get it in front of me. And he started just accepting some roles that Harrison Ford was turning away, and that kind of helped get his career to where he's at now.
I have seen a very, very, very small glimpse of Hollywood in writing for the Miss Pat show. And just simply based off of my experience with that and knowing that there are certain things that you want that you can't necessarily get because the network itself just simply says no. And the reasons that they say no are vast, whether it be because they're worried about the sponsors that they have for your project, whether it be blowback that you might create with something. Just this is just from the joke standpoint.
Yeah, very
So I can
corporate.
only so I can only imagine what it's like to actually pitch a movie and try to get it made the way you want it made. And again, all these things are done in accordance to make money. Nobody sets out to make a film just to make a film. Obviously, they want to recoup what they cost to make. And as we watch the bigger and bigger the budgets get for movies, the harder it is to get that return. I think the Marvel movies have you've kind of seen how quickly they can fall off. After Endgame, the Marvel movies are complete dog shit, but they were cranking them out year after year after year, and they were all smash hits. So it's like, oh, we're just going to keep. And so the quality kind of degrades after a while. You can only go back to the well so many times. And, this is the same thing with why Hollywood tends to remake everything instead of taking a chance on a brand new intellectual property, with a brand new film. It's like, oh, we'll just go remake Little Mermaid. We'll make her black. Boom, we can snatch that dollar. People love Little Mermaid, and it's literally the same fucking story. It's just the mermaid's a different color. And now you've got all these people, arguing on in chat spaces because she's black.
excuse me. Again, you touched on something very interesting again. And so let me expand on it. Hollywood has never been more corporate than it is now. We're seeing it right now in terms of the strike, and that's and there's nothing more corporate than when the big fish is telling all the little fish, "I don't give two shits about you. I don't care what we're making over here. We're going to try to figure out a way to squeeze even more work out of fewer of you and pay even fewer of you to do it." So you have that aspect. But we kind of saw that coming with kind of what you said. It turned into something where this was just going to be all superhero movies. You know, Marvel really kicked it off. Disney really kicked this off when they bought Marvel and just started spinning all these Marvel movies out. We don't want anything new. We have no interest in that. Only thing we have interest in is what we know will make money. There's no interest in the art of the art anymore. There's no interest in the writing. There's no interest in breaking new talent. You know, years ago, leading up to maybe the mid 90s, maybe a little bit later, even Hollywood still cared about breaking new artists. And now, when I say artists, I mean not just actors and actresses, but I mean writers as well. That shit is out the door, completely out the door. If you want to do, seems like if you want to do anything new and creative, you better be doing it yourself out of your own pocket with your own credit card, or you better be good enough to find some indie movie that you can get in, and maybe that goes to Sundance and some other festivals, and it takes off from there. But there is no interest in the art of this entertainment anymore. None. It's completely gone in the eyes of the studios.
But part of that is the responsibility of the consumer. I mean, a lot of people don't want to go see new because
Agreed.
new movies tend to be shit, and so it's
Agreed.
like they're not gonna make it because you're not gonna watch it because you're not gonna like it, and it's like why take if I can get a cookie cutter and make 60-70 million dollars, even if the budget is 330 million, if I can make what 520 720, even if I can, it doesn't necessarily have to be $1 billion movie anymore, but at the same time it's like if I can keep stamping out the same thing over and over and over again and people still watch it in droves, then yes, there's no incentive for me to move away from that formula. But at the same time, you have all these people complaining about, oh, there's no new ideas. It's just a bunch of remakes. It's rehashes. And I'm like, well, this is what people consume, and so part of it is Hollywood, and part of it is us. Who do you blame? Now, when it comes to the money situation, I, there's absolutely no incentive for Hollywood to care about new artists. And if I can squeeze you to your very last, if I can get every drip of talent and inspiration out of you and pay you very little, there's, I mean, you're a capitalist. You know exactly how that's going to turn out. And until this writer strike resolves itself, and these, yeah, you got that right. I told you it's going to get you back. It's one of those things where until this strike can bear some type of fruit, that they aren't going to budge. And I saw it. I don't know if it was a tweet or an article, but basically, what they were asking for from the top studios was less than 2% of their
It
overall
is lower, less than
profit.
inflation.
It wasn't it wasn't it was profit,
Yeah,
not base costs or
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah.
It's just what you're already making. So to me, to not want to give up 2% of a profit when you're already making millions and billions is just asinine to me. You could avoid all of this. You could have people working. You could have new talent coming in. I know so many people who want to be in the entertainment industry in some capacity, whether it's writing or acting or directing or you know camera operators, and it's just like there's only so much you can do by yourself to where until you have to run into the machine, as I like to call it, the machine of what we're all used to.
But Dion, I would push back not on you, but on the studios, if you will, or on people who think there aren't things out being made. We've seen a dramatic shift from the movie theater to your television, and with all of the streaming services, streaming networks craving for shows, we've seen a lot of new thought come out on the television. Paramount, Peacock. There's some great things. Mrs. Davis on Peacock is really good. Twisted Metal, which I just finished that series on Peacock, was really good. Apple has some amazing shows. Silos. Uh, shit.
None of those shows are making those streaming services money, which is part of the reason why they have are squeezing the writers and actors is because when we ditched cable, right? When we left cable and we were like, let's go to because of Netflix's
For
power.
the, and for
Netflix,
and before going for the record, I wasn't saying what was making money for them. I was saying there's new creative things being found on those streaming services as opposed to what you're going to find in the movie theaters. Go on, sorry, go ahead.
right. So what I'm saying is yes, there are a lot of new television shows and some even some movies, but what happened was is it got oversaturated. So we have way too many streaming services. Excuse me, Netflix gave way too many comedy specials. They made way too many independent shows. They made way too many Netflix based movies that, it got to the point where it's like people don't have time to watch all this stuff. And so the companies start to lose money. They try to bundle all this crap together because everybody's in cahoots. And what ends up happening is that people will find a show, they'll like the show, but not enough people will like the show, and so that show will get canceled within the first season or the second season. And so you've got the people who created that show are in a deal now to where, well, my shows got canceled, so I got to come up with something else. But they're not getting any money off the thing that they made, and so it's just this. It's like this snowball effect of bad decisions and greed on both sides. Well, not necessarily both sides, because if you're a writer or a creator, that's all that you're ever going to do is write and create. That's all you ever want to do, and so, but you get put into these situations where it's like I've got to crank out a script, I've got to have new episode. Like they don't give you time. Like I've seen the time crunch where we want 21 episodes for a season, and it's like who has time to write that when you cut staff and you don't allow the writers to be on set to fix things. It becomes this massive clusterfuck that the average person doesn't have any idea about.
You are right in terms, and I would agree with you because I've seen some literature over the last couple of weeks where it talks about the issues that the networks are having with streaming and trying to figure their way around that because they have. It's like anything else. If it grows too quickly, you got a problem on your fucking hands. And we went from Netflix to Sling to Hulu and then everything else. If they could create it instead of some of these networks that own many networks, or some of these studios that own many networks saying, hey, we're gonna put everything on just one. No, now we need to break it all down into individual, and break it down even further and further and further. Again, I think it is great for a lot of actors and actresses. They've done some great work and had some great opportunities and made some good money, I'm sure, because of their name and bringing it to some of these shows. I think it's been great for the audience members. And I think it's a great place to find, again, new and creative work. And what I was going to say was going back to the movies, and we're going to go to some of your guys' comments here in a second. I apologize if it seems like we forgot about you. We didn't. One of the issues is that the studios and the movie theaters still have this contract and this deal. And they're still trying to force people to go in. AMC as well as Harkins. That's what I have in my area. You may have something different wherever you live. But now they've all revamped themselves, and now they have reclining seats. More of these theaters, it used to be you had to go to the best areas in your city to go to the theaters where you could get actual food, and they would bring it to you. Now they're doing that. Now they're trying to bring that to almost every theater. Now, one of the nicer areas not too far from us, they just redid the theater there. You walk in, Dion, it looks like you're walking into a bar. There isn't the ticket window outside. You walk in, you walk up to the desk, you get your ticket there, but then you go, there's a bunch of lounges and couches for you to chill in. Huge space. There's sports being played on the TV. There's a full bar there. So if you just want to come in and drink and watch the game, you can do that. They have an actual scratch kitchen as if you're going to a restaurant now. You put your order in first, and then they'll bring it to you by the time you get to. So all these different things they're trying to do to bring people back in, instead of just letting go of a dying industry. Just let it go because it's dead. You're not going to bring people back, not even with the biggest blockbuster movies. We went to see John Wick 4, which is a terrible movie. But we went to see it. The movie wasn't even, they put it in the large theater. It wasn't even half full, bro. They'd be lucky if it was a third. And that was to open the weekend at night.
Well, I think what really hurts movie theaters is one, they're always inefficient. There's usually long lines for concessions. Concessions are way overpriced because the movie theaters don't make any money
Yeah.
off the actual movie. All that money every time you buy a ticket to go see a movie, the place that you bought it at doesn't earn any money off of that. They only make money off the concessions. So that's the reason why your popcorn is $19 for a fucking medium and a Coke costs $8. It's like this, they got to recoup all this fucking money. But at the same time, if the movie studios want people to go and enjoy their product in the theater, well then you got to give them an incentive to have the movie theater full. Why are you not giving the movie theater a portion of the proceeds from the film so that they don't have to charge people an arm and a leg just to go watch a movie in a theater? If I can wait 3 months and get it streamed to my device at home through Amazon or whatever service that I'm paying for, why would I go to the movie theater? If I can rent the movie for the price of one ticket and just buy a sound bar from Bose and have the exact same experience and pop my own popcorn that I got from Target for $3, it's, what's the point of going to the movie theater other than nostalgia? And I hate to tell you, but the older we get, the younger generation doesn't give a fuck about nostalgia. They don't feel it is ever since these devices, ever since these smartphones have gotten into the hands of people, nostalgia is your attention span for that type of thing is no longer there.
Right. And you're finding more and more, unlike with the generations that came before us that aged, where they were slow to move with technology and wanted to fight the younger generations, the older generations are like, they're all for it. Give me a smartphone. I'll watch everything I want. I'll get my news there. I'll cut my newspaper. You make a great point. You are essentially, if you are the movie theater industry and the studios, who are you keeping this open for? Because the kids don't care about it anymore. The generations that came before them are slowly moving away from it. They would rather, including myself, I'd rather spend $20 on a movie that may be shitty. Just did it last week to see Insidious, The Red Door. Again, a terrible movie. But I was happier because I could fall asleep on it, get up and watch it a couple of days later, finish it to confirm that's a shitty movie, and I'm done. It's out of here. I didn't have to go spend a ton of money like you were putting on popcorn and a Coke, nachos, and all that, and the ticket price to see a terrible movie. So that is the other thing. Who are you keeping this going for? Because we are almost as a whole could care less about your movie theater.
I'm someone who loves the movie theater experience. I love movie theater popcorn. I love saturating it with butter. When the places where you can go and apply the butter yourself, you don't have to worry about that
Because
snotty
it's
nosed
cheap.
16-year-old kid. Uh, I'm cheap. Excuse me. As my dad would say, I beg your pardon before I put a boot in the ass. No, I like going to the icy. You can mix the red and the blue or the Coke. You
You
can
do that at home.
I don't have an icy machine, and I ain't trying to clean it if I did.
You
So
can go get
no,
icy anywhere and take it home.
no, you can't.
Yeah, you
Not
can.
not not the kind at the movie theater.
Okay,
No,
Jesus.
that's the
So you're
limit.
the old nostalgic person watching black
I
and white
am.
movies
I would
at the movie
no.
theater.
I'm not. I'm not going to see
The little rascals.
the Regal presents some
Rico.
po podunk fucking English theater show.
I ain't
You
heard
know,
that joint in a minute. Sorry, folks. The Regal.
yeah, that's what we got. Regal theaters around here.
Okay.
But but I do enjoy going to the movies and watching it on the big screen. There's something about that experience that you go with somebody that you enjoy spending time with, whether it be your buddies or your girl or your guy or whatever. There's something about going to the movies that you're like, oh man, I saw the trailer for this movie. I'm excited.
But
Whereas now, I'm saying that's gone. That that
yes,
nostalgia is gone.
and for me, the nostalgia of it is going. I now know it's dead because it used to be when the big blockbuster movie was coming over the summer, whatever. You knew everybody's going to be in there because part of it too, Dion, is not just getting your lady or your man or your friends together. What's that? We are all in this movie theater to like. I think about Independence Day and A Time to Kill. Those are the two movies that come to my mind. I think about that. Scream was another one back in the day. The theater is packed and we're all riding this wave of emotion together. You know, when Matthew McConaughey says, now imagine she's white, and the whole room goes, you know, scream when them fools are chasing Matthew or I'm chasing Drew Barrymore through the house, and you're like, run, bitch. You know, everybody's, you know, this is what's missing. This is what's gone. And going back to what you said, a part of that is this. And what we do on this. This has isolated us so much. And I don't want to get into that conversation, but we are all living in our individual silos for most of our lives, including our entertainment, and we're okay with it. Except for the Super Bowl, maybe, or the Sunday football game you may go watch with your buddies. A lot of us are fine, just living in our own worlds, our entertainment all alone, not sharing in that with anyone.
I mean, sharing is the key word because they have cut down on password sharing. I mean, people. I mean, that was another reason why the theaters would. It's like, oh, I can share my Netflix account with you, so you don't have to go watch it. You can watch the movie on. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, they kind of created the. It was a double-edged sword for them. Yes, it was hot in the beginning, but it was also cutting on the other end to where people are like, I'll just wait a couple of months and watch it at home from the comfort of my own home because the movie theaters kind of priced me out. It just doesn't make sense to go and watch the movie at the theater. And then you had COVID factor in, the risk of being in a large crowd of people if their movie would get a crowd. So it's just one of those things, man. I think about being a kid and going to drive-in movies. You remember that? I think I'm like, how the fuck did that fail? That's an awesome idea, but they're gone. I mean, there's probably a handful left in
I
the
don't know. I
country.
don't know why those failed anyone. It failed either. I don't know. I wasn't. I went to a few times, but I wasn't old enough to take myself. So I don't know what happened.
It's the same reason why movie theaters are failing. The drive-in wasn't making any money off the film itself, and so whatever you're paying for a ticket is not covering the expenses and the concessions. It's a fucking car. They're not checking. You can bring your own shit, so you don't gotta go buy anything.
Well, that was
So
the other
you
thing too. So that probably is why it failed. That's a good
you
point.
know so
I guess because those motherfuckers brings the pizzas and shit with them and all kind of shit they had in the car. Um, Pop says, Dion, I know going back here a little bit. I'm gonna try to catch up with you. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We appreciate it. I want to make sure we touch on as many of you as we possibly can. Not touch on you, but touch on your comments. You know what I'm saying, play. Pop says, Dion,
don't ever do that again. You could exclude me from all your touching. Just move on.
fuck you. Dion, Dion, I know the Norman Lear story of what you speak. That same gentleman was responsible for Cooley High. So who you're
Hmm.
talking about is the same guy was Cooley High. Says I didn't know the Cooley High part. So something like said knew it. Will, if you're still with us, Will had cleared it up. Said he was speaking about Halle Berry, and that's who I thought you were saying when you said Boomerang. But you could have been talking about that other one with the big forehead.
Tisha Campbell.
No, not Tisha Campbell. In Boomerang,
Oh, Robin.
Robin Givens.
Robin
Yeah,
Givens. Okay.
body way too small for a head. Uh, Pop says, how long have black billionaires been talking about getting together? However, usually in sports ownership, Tyler Perry the exception. Angela Bassett says she didn't do or wouldn't do Monsters Ball because of what nephew DC mentioned. So Angela Bassett passed on the movie. I'm assuming what Pops is saying because she wasn't going to let her breast be exposed the way Halle Berry was okay with it.
Well, Halle got paid for it, so I think at one point she was making extra 250,000 for each breast. So I know in
Thought
in
she
the movie
made
Sword. And
Yes.
Swordfish, she
Yep.
made 500,000 for showing her titties.
Yep.
So
Which I was underwhelmed by him. Robert Scott Brock says a couple years ago, I would give you $5. A couple years ago, I was doing research for a documentary on black exploitation movies from the late '60s, early '70s, and the exploitation part was pretty much true. At least 90 to 95% were all white producers. It was eye opening for me. And another thing, Robert, which I'm sure you figured out in your research, those movies saved Hollywood.
mm-hmm.
Hollywood was all in the red until they started doing all of those black, and there were a ton of them that they made.
Dolomite.
Way down in the jungle deep, and I only remember that because of why House
Th-
Party.
those movies are terrible.
They're not good movies.
They're
The
so
fight scenes,
terrible, so awful.
but it speaks to a man who believed in himself and believed in what he was doing, and the dude's iconic now, whether you like the
No,
movies or
yeah,
not.
I mean the Eddie Murphy portrayal of Dolomite in that story was a wonderful movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not, but if you haven't watched it, you should check it out. It's definitely
definitely good. And you
it's a.
get to see
I
the
mean
behind the
Eddie,
scenes.
it's classic. It's a classic Eddie Murphy. So if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, go watch Dolomite.
Carla says nobody remembers Hattie McDaniels winning Best Supporting Actress and Gone with the Wind, her portrayal of a servant. Carla, man, that is such a good one as well, going all the way back to that. And I believe Hattie had to come in through the back door, the service entrance, and wait in the kitchen or something like that after she won. Like she was not allowed to kind of sit amongst the rest of her brethren. So, yeah, great point there. Pop says every now and again, a writer or director may decide that a part written for a white actor might be changed and a black actor actress might get the part. Shonda Rhimes, I heard give a piece of advice to writers, and I take it myself after I watched her masterclass. By the way, I'm a huge fan of, so if you don't have it, if you are wanting to learn almost anything, but for me specifically entertainment, writing, acting, that type of thing, masterclass is outstanding. But Shonda Rhimes, one of her tips she gave was when you write your character descriptions, do not apply a race to them because you don't know who's going to walk through the door and end up with that role. Let's see. Robert Scott Brock says in the last 10 plus years of Hollywood, main studios have produced zero independent spec films and scripts. Kind of what we were talking about. They have no interest in breaking new talent. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here. Yep, you. Carl says yes. Okay, they're it's like they're having a conversation. Jay says major movie stars are doing straight to streaming more. Yes, they are. A lot of network stuff straight to streaming. Aaliyah says streaming networks want to cater to everyone instead of targeting an audience and retaining that audience. Dion, your thoughts on that from Aaliyah?
Well, I mean, again, it's look at what has made the bulk of the money. I mean, if you just take the Marvel experience, you had uh, Luke Cage. Remember that show and how it was all the rage. You had Jessica Jones, right?
Yeah, I
These
was a
are
big fan of Jessica Jones.
yeah, these were all comic books turned into TV shows by talented people who have took the character that was already existed and applied it to a TV setting or a movie setting, and it gave that feeling of childhood wonder to all these adult people, right? So that was a very specific market that they targeted. But then you have shows that are just all over. I mean, just the Netflix comedy specials. I just keep going back to this how literally, they were handing them out to people left and right to where if you like comedy, you go on and you just click on the comedy tab and you pick a special and you're not laughing. You're like, well, why would I watch another one when this one sucked? And you had so many shows that were just being made because I feel like I could strike when the iron is hot, and that's not necessarily how you want to go about doing things. Like
Well, a
there's a
lot.
reason why these Marvel shows are hits, because they have a huge fan base, and these are untold stories.
And a lot of times you find companies do what Netflix did for the first I don't know how many years they were doing it till they decided to make the switch. Maybe before this, within this last couple, they're looking for market share, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
Netflix wanted: market share. How can we take from HBO? I know what we'll. I know what we'll do. We'll become the home of stand-ups. How can we take from here? I know what we'll do. We'll become the home of this, and we'll create our own, and we'll do. And this was before NBC, ABC, HBO, and everyone started creating their own streaming and said, "Oh, you know what, Netflix? We think we'll take all that shit back from you and put that on our own streaming networks." Netflix probably waited too long or misjudged the market because normally a company goes from that first initial push for market share, then they make that switch and concern themselves with profit. I feel like Netflix waited way too long. That's why you see the thing now with, and you touched on it, hey, no more password sharing. Hey, now we're talking about bringing commercials into play. They bringing commercials into play. I think they really are slashing their own throats at that point.
What I think kind of fucked Netflix is they used to have everybody else's shit on there. And then when
Right.
everybody else saw how Netflix was doing is they pulled all their shit off of Netflix.
And
And I
Disney was
think that's
first.
what kind of hurt Netflix is they didn't have their own independent Netflix brand of programming, and so what happened was is they were like, oh, we got to get that, and we, it was a lot of junk, a lot of Netflix has got a 6 episode show about Mormons, and it's like no one wants to watch that, and so that gets cut, but they shell out all this money based on hope that someone would watch this, and it was a lot of flops. They made a lot of shows that people didn't want to watch, and they
Well,
spent a shit ton of money on them, and they didn't get any of that money back,
and the
which
first
is
two
part of
people,
the reason why they cut off the password sharing.
and the first two people I think about when you talk about trying to make a big push for content and original content, they gave 9-figure deals to Shonda Rhimes to leave ABC, and they gave a 9-figure deal to Kenya Barris to leave ABC. I don't know what Kenya's got coming next. The first thing he pushed that I know of with his name on it, well, I think there might have been a couple other things, but was Black as Fuck, which I enjoyed, but for some reason I don't think a lot of people enjoyed it, so they got rid of it. I think it's supposed to come back in the next iteration as a movie. Shonda has Bridgerton, which was a big hit for them, and I don't know what she's got coming next. But you're right. Within the last couple of years, they have tried to make that push and make those big swings to get those content creators to come over and do it for them, as opposed to ABC, where those two content creators were before.
It's one of those things where you don't necessarily have to rewrite the formula. You just have to do the formula well enough to maintain your audience. I mean, this is a lot of shows fall off because they change writers, because there's disagreements on where to move the series, where the network wants one thing and the creator of the show wants another thing. That's something that I've witnessed where we had to fight the network to get certain jokes and certain topics into the show, where they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that because, and it's a lot of these corporations do not understand the vision and the inner workings of their product. They just, like, you will be shocked how many shows get passed around that turn into hits because the person who could greenlight that show on that network just doesn't understand it. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
it, well, you're kind of in the industry, so but the average person, like, a lot of these people, they don't know what the next big thing is. They're literally hoping every time they say yes to something that it's the next big thing. I'm pretty sure the people who greenlit the Big Bang Theory had no idea that it was going to be the Big Bang Theory. I still don't understand why it's as big a show as it is because I've tried to watch it, and for the life of me, I'm just like, you can see this joke coming from a mile away, and it's not funny,
I don't.
but
I don't get it.
people eat it up.
I
So
don't
it's
get
just
it.
one of those things where, you have people making bad decisions, you have oversaturated content with not enough time to make it quality. There's all these deadlines that they have, or I got to have something. You got 5 days to write it, complete it, and it's like that is just simply not enough time. Writer's room takes months of pitching ideas, filing them all down, and then sharpening the edges. But
feel like everybody wants a Tyler Perry writer room.
Well, it's one of those things where you're on a time crunch because of how quickly, because of these, how quickly people's attention spans goes to the next
Yeah,
shiny object.
yeah. A lot of people, including Robert, Anthony. What's up, bro? Anthony's with us, married included. But a lot of people are agreeing with you. They still like going to the movies and watching them. I'm someone, maybe not. Facebook user says, I watch at home so I can take my bra off. I don't know who said that, but all right.
Joanne Little.
Okay, Joey.
Thanks, Joanne.
Robert says, movie theater food is delicious. The secret ingredient is amphetamines. Hilarious. Carla says, I remember standing in line with my mom and waiting to get tickets for Return of the Jedi. Yeah, everyone's got those memories, man. I think that's what a lot of people were chasing for a long time, but I think a lot of people have given up on chasing that right there.
Dude, I remember when I went and saw Jurassic Park in the movie theater. I had nightmares for 2 weeks for that little green dinosaur with the little frill that spit on the fat guy. I mean, I had nightmares. Nightmares.
David James says, do I need to talk on what I do that Apple trap entrapment? What? Yeah, yeah, David, give me an explanation of what the hell you're talking about. Anthony Temple says, just went to see Fast 10. Bro, you could have put that money in your living room on the floor and just set it on fire. I don't even know what you didn't see the first Fast 1 through 9? What are you talking
I
about?
heard there's a scene in Fast 10 where they're in outer space,
I'm so-
which, Jesus Christ, man.
Then they got wheels on the shuttles, on the
It's
space
just
shuttles.
it's Tyrese and Ludacris in outer space. Like, what?
Mary Ballard says, we just went to see Oppenheimer. Mary, Oppenheimer was one of the ones I wanted to see in the movie theaters. I wanted to check it out on the IMAX, but then I saw it was 3 hours long. And I said, I think I'll keep my ashy-less body at home. I'm not going to see another 3 hour movie. Pop says, movies nowadays are like so many television shows now. A week after the movie comes out, it's streaming. TV shows you watch are on Hulu the next day. Streaming is so big now, and look at how many name actors slash actresses are doing shows there. Dylan said the times they are a changing. Yeah, yes they are, and they have. Let's see here. James says, but low key, I used to live for the barbershop bootlegs.
I never heard anyone say that. That to me, you live for low quality garbage for $5. Just
I
spend the extra $2 and go to the theater.
I'm not surprised David James would be living for the bootlegs.
There's nothing worse than watching Friday in Chinese with people walking in front of you.
Oh, there is. When you get bootleg porn, that's the worst. When you can hear the guy open up the can of Vaseline, oh, that's terrible.
Thank God I'm not of that generation. I just had to wait 2 hours on
You,
Kazaa or
wait a minute, you ain't that
LimeWire.
far behind me. I know you like to act like you 20 years behind me. You are not.
I didn't have any bootleg VHSs of people at this.
VHSs. Travis Wells says, at 50, I only go to the theaters to see my daughter happy. But as a kid in summer, I spent at least 2 days a week at AMC growing up, watching every movie they had. Only AC and AZ during the summer that kids had. Probably why I love the movies, but at home now, I feel you, Sid. I appreciate you, Travis. Like I said, those old time memories, man, they're still there though. Aaliyah says we have a drive-in in Connecticut, but they don't have new movies playing, so it's more like an experience for the kids.
Hey, it's sad, man. Drive-ins were fun.
Yeah.
It's where teenagers pop their cherries and you know.
Let's see. I'm rolling through here. Yes, Mary. Mary says can of Vaseline. All right, guys. This has been a great conversation. We appreciate it. We're going to get out of here, but hang with us until we do our last segment. Dion, what you got for our? What is it? What the hell? We.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My what the hell goes to the guy who heckled the handicapped comedian on Sunday. What the hell were you thinking, man? People, you need to understand who you're competing against when you're competing. Okay. What's the saying? Know your enemy? Because that guy, there was no chance of him winning. Okay. Even if he was funny, he was going to lose. You don't compete against the handicap. You just don't do it because the common man, the common woman, they ain't going for that. It don't matter how funny, how right you are. If you get into a contest with someone who's not able-bodied, they're getting the sympathy vote, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just take your L and keep it moving. This stupid guy thought he could be funnier than Lucas, and the fact of the matter is Lucas is super hilarious. Again, if you have Amazon Prime, you should go check out his special Public Inconvenience. Lucas is funny regardless of him being handicapped, but the fact that this guy thought he could get one over and that the crowd would be like, whoa, it was like, no, they turned on him immediately and he got put out. And it was one of those things where afterward it was like, I said to the crowd, what the fuck was that guy thinking? We all know it's never cool to do that. So just be mindful of who you're competing against. There's some battles you're never gonna win, no matter how many bullets you have in the chamber, no matter how many swords or knives or people that you think you have in your corner. There's some battles you just can't win.
Well said. Well said. Plus, the comic always has the microphone. I don't even know what you're doing.
Exactly.
What are you even doing? Mary wants to know Lucas's last name again, Dion.
Waterfill.
Waterfield. Okay. And Dion, can you see the Facebook users that put hashtag slow mo up
Um,
towards the bottom?
Let me see. I backed out to go look at our poll.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Roxy.
Oh, hey, Roxy. Roxy's been listening to our new podcast that I do with my wife called Running in Slow Motion. And we decided we were going to call our listeners runners. You know, much like we do here, we like to give our loyal listeners nicknames, and we decided runners. Well, my baby brother Vince decided to text me or call me last week and say, hey, he had a better nickname and thought we should call our loyal listeners slow mos. so, so I just laughed and I shared that with the audience, and Roxy brought it up. So awesome.
I think that is a better nickname than runners, to be honest with you.
Fuck off, dude. You only think it's funny because you know what it sounds like, and that's what you're laughing at. It's a dumb nickname. Slow mos. Pop says, porn, all you need is to have your elbow in the scene and you're a porn star. Ain't that a bitch? so, my, what the hell? So, there's a video that popped up on my IG Reels. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, Dion. But there's this woman being videoed at an amusement park, and she is a black woman in the face of a white guy, telling him to delete the photo of her daughter from his phone. You can hear the father, I'm assuming the father of the child, off camera. He steps in and out of frame, but he's talking to, I assume, security or someone who works at the amusement park about this. And she is screaming in this guy's face, delete my daughter's picture from your fucking phone. And the only thing I could think about were two things. One, that father and that mom were a lot cooler than I think I would have been. I think I'd have been stumping this dude in the head while I was cracking his phone as well after I made sure he deleted it from everywhere on that fucking phone. But the other thing was just be mindful of your children. There's still too many people taking pictures of their children, guys and girls, little girls too young to be in two-piece bathing suits, way too young to be photographed and posted on your social media in a two-piece bathing suit. You have someone at an amusement park who's bold enough to be taking pictures of children they don't even know. They are everywhere, y'all. Everywhere. Be mindful in real life and on your social media. That's all I wanted to say, man. It was just the boldness to do it right there in an amusement park, in line, waiting to ride a ride. God only knows what else he has on his phone or on a server or what he fucking does, what else he does in his spare fucking time. Be mindful.
Well said, man.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Roxy, Pops, Carla, Said was with us again. Aaliyah was with us again. Who am I missing? Robert,
Michelle,
Michelle. I mean,
Chelsea,
Chelsea, you guys really showed up this week. We appreciate you.
Joanne.
We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you find yourself in the Laughlin area this week, I will be out there at LA Comedy Club from Wednesday to Sunday. Come on out and check me out. Love to see y'all. Dion, you still there or you froze out? All right.
You back?
Yep.
You got me?
Yep, I got you. Go ahead. What you got?
I heard you say the Laughlin area and then you froze for me.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. Go ahead. What you got? Anything? Close out?
just thank you all again for tuning into another episode of Now That's Debatable. Please hit that share button if you haven't hit that share button already. It really, 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 really helps the show. Check it out on YouTube or all the podcast outlets, Stitcher and Spotify and Apple. It always helps to tell a friend, someone who you think might like debate shows. We're always welcoming of topics as well. If you guys have something that you might want us to debate, send us a message. You can message me or Sydney, post it in the group, and we can go from there. Go ahead.
No guarantees that we're going to use it though. We will read it. If it seems like we think it's going to be something that works or we can use it, we will. But no guarantees. But send them.
Yeah, it'll get vetted. If it's good, we'll use it. If it's not, you'll know it's not, and we won't say anything. You just won't talk about it.
We love you all though.
Yes, we'll just ignore you, like that crazy crackhead at the bus stop. We're like, I'm not gonna look that direction till the bus gets here. So,
Just picture
with
me
that
doing what I
said,
do. Just picture me what I do when I pull up to the red light and there's a homeless guy right here.
not going to look that way. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate you. I love doing the show with you, Sydney,
Yeah,
and
man.
you guys doing the comments. So thank y'all again.
My shirt's awesome, Marcus. Fuck you. All right.